You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
On Friday, Mark Ronner, for his Ronner Report, gave a review of the Francis Ford Coppola movie, his passion project, Megalopolis. It was not a sterling review. It was more a prediction of how it would fare in the box office, and the movie did not do well, surprising absolutely nobody, especially Mark Ronner, coming in at number 6 with a meager $4 million box office. Granted, it was only in 1,800 theaters, but its per theater average of $2,000 is meager.
No, and I got to tell you, I was predisposed to give it a break because I had noticed kind of a weird lack of interest in it. And like I said Friday, this is the guy who gave us The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. He's at least earned the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, that's an automatic ticket buy for me, but it was so much worse than I ever conceived it could possibly be.
Well, this is the gender demographic discussion. He's earned the benefit of the doubt with people 40 and older. He's earned the benefit of the doubt with those who have seen his great movies over the years, who know Francis Ford Coppola. If you're between the age of 15 and 30, you probably haven't seen maybe more than one or two at most of Francis Ford Coppola. And he's not a deciding factor in any movie that you see.
You think so? Really?
Yeah, I really do think so. Let's run down his IMDb, his movies. And I don't believe he's had a hit in the past 10 years.
No, his recent stuff has been really spotty. I've tried to give nearly all of it a chance. And but the thing is, if you only have the first two Godfathers and Apocalypse Now on your CV, you are an immortal.
No,
okay?
you are an immortal. But say that to someone under the age of 30. It's like, why should I see this movie? Well, this is the same guy who did Apocalypse Now.
Well, I'll tell you, he's exhausted his goodwill at this point. This was a giant-sized stinker. I mean, I'm not kidding you. My mouth was hanging open at some parts of this thing. The thing about not having any studio interference, and we talked about this in terms of editors, I think, last Friday, which is sometimes maybe it's a good thing to have people giving you notes if this is what you end up without them.
Look, The Godfather was 52 years ago.
Oh God, we're old.
Okay, no, I'm just saying. So if you were to explain to someone who is Francis Ford Coppola, who is this person that you're saying I need to see this movie because he's one of the greatest directors of all time? True, he is, but I don't know if that is in any way enticing someone who's under the age of 30 to go see him. And I say under the age of 30 because that's the movie ticket buying public.
Well, here's another layer to this that was on my mind that I didn't really talk about much. The movie industry is so driven right now by franchises, sequels, and remakes. I want to support anything that isn't one of those and that's an original idea. But boy, when you roll the dice, sometimes you just come up snake eyes, and that's what this was.
And I also wonder, since it was a passion project, not a movie studio driven project, there's really no promotion arm, which is going to get it the wide type of coverage that he's going to need on social media and beyond for people to see it. I saw a couple of trailer previews, but nothing that's going to drive people to the movies.
Well, this is what I mentioned Friday. You can't tell what this movie is about by looking at the trailers. It looks like a cologne commercial. You have no idea what is going on. It's like a cologne commercial filtered through an Ayn Rand book. And I think anybody who didn't outgrow Ayn Rand by the time they were 19 has other issues.
I've noticed that movies which are visually stunning, stylistically slick, for some reason don't do well in theaters. Now, it might be a combination of poor script and other, like, do you remember the movie Oblivion? Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman?
I only saw the beginning of that. So, and actually Tuala and I have been talking about that fairly recently. So I haven't seen the whole thing.
Visually stunning. Yeah. I actually liked the movie. The movie bombed. And there's something about these visually stunning movies that just, they don't translate. Tron, the second movie, visually stunning, didn't translate. Blade Runner 2049, visually stunning,
I'm going to stop you right there. It wasn't a massive hit, but it was one of the best sequels of anything ever made.
You missed my point. It's not whether you liked it. I'm saying whether it translated for audiences by and large.
No, but it's got legs. It's going to be around forever. That's a good one. And it was not a huge hit when it came out. I grant you that. But this is one that it's not. You couldn't even call it a cult film. People began to appreciate it more and more as time passed.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I don't care about that.
Still didn't translate. I mean, if it turns into a cult classic, then okay. But for the purposes of its initial theater run, it didn't connect.
Not as much as people would have wanted. No, absolutely not. I mean, it was kind of a high concept. It's hard to overstate just the kind of meat and potatoes stuff movie audiences want.
Yeah.
They don't want stuff that's that complicated or intellectual. And I don't know if that's an insult or not. It just is.
Sometimes there are limits to escapism. You can take a movie like Tenet, and I love Christopher Nolan, who I think is one of the best directors of our time. But even he can get so far out there, it's too complex for audiences to best appreciate and digest.
Nobody understood Tenet. Did you?
No, I tried. I really tried. It's one of those where I'll go ahead and read the Wikipedia afterward to see if I can figure it out. It just didn't make sense to me. And that was one of those movies I was running to see first night. Even Interstellar, which I thought was, and I love high concept movies. I love big idea movies. I did not like the execution of it.
Well, he didn't stick the landing with Interstellar. No. It was such a beautiful movie, and everybody in it was so good. And you want to see a big budget sci-fi epic like that from a director like that. And then what in the hell was that ending? What was that?
You didn't like the bookcase?
I didn't like the bookcase. I didn't like that he was chasing tail and left his family behind. The whole movie was predicated about getting back to his daughter.
Yeah, he just
gets back to his daughter, and he steals a ship to go after some chick who didn't even profess any type of interest in him.
No, he just stalked her. He helps himself to a spare spaceship that's lying around. I don't know what he was thinking with that ending. It was so disappointing because the first two acts were so incredible.
Right. And that always begs the question, if you don't stick the landing, if the third act is horrible, does it make the whole movie bad? I don't think it makes the whole movie bad, but it makes it very, very disappointing. And some people are like, well, if it has a great ending, then it makes up for the first two acts. I think you need the trifecta. I need you to hit it in first, second, and third act.
So you'll admit that Nolan is an automatic ticket buy for whatever he does.
He is, but I admit there are some misses in there with those hits.
Sure, but Coppola no longer after this. I agree with you.
What was the last one that you thoroughly enjoyed?
Of who?
Of FFC.
I couldn't even tell you because we all rewatched The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. I saw it at a preposterously young age that was very inappropriate, and that left a huge impression on me as a kid. And in fact, I'll tell you right this, because I've been in touch with my old humanities teacher. I made in high school a satire film based on Apocalypse Now, which is based on the Heart of Darkness.
Yeah,
I called the film The Heart of Markness, and I've been talking about that with my old teacher this week. So I don't know. I mean, he did Jack. He did what is it? Teatro. I'm not looking at IMDb.
I am, and I'm scrolling trying to find something.
You really have to go.
Captain EO at Disneyland.
Okay.
Now, being serious.
That was good.
Yeah,
Captain EO was good.
The Outsiders in '83.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. Now, I'm looking for a real hit in the past 30, 40 years.
Oh, no, I take your point. He hasn't had one.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, I did not like.
I didn't like Dracula or Frankenstein from him, but they both had some good stuff in them. I didn't like the whole things, though.
Yeah.
Wait, he did Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
Yeah.
I love that one.
With De Niro, weirdly, as the monster.
I saw Cotton Club. That was 84. I didn't particularly care for that one.
You did not like Cotton Club?
I said I didn't particularly care for it.
That is a classic.
It is a classic. I know it is. I'm just saying it didn't resonate with me. I guess my last movie, FFC, that I really liked was Apocalypse Now, and that was 79.
Not Jack?
Wow.
As I said.
I mean, the guy, look, Captain EO, Cotton Club is to me one of my all-time faves, and I love Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I love that treatment of Frankenstein.
Well, you're the guy.
Let me just I have to watch Cotton Club again. That was the one I saw, like many of these movies as kids. I saw Apocalypse Now as an adult. I rewatched it, Mark. Yes, please go do that. And I'll go back and rewatch Cotton Club.
Go back and watch it. It is such an epic gangster tale and such a tale of just that period. I love that movie.
Okay. All right.
I have it on my iPod.
Really?
Yeah.
You got movies on your iPod?
Yeah, I have a video iPod.
Did not know that.
You are the lone Cotton Club fanboy on earth. That's it.
No,
You're the guy.
I think he and both my parents were, are. Mother still is. Yeah, but, I just don't, it didn't hit me.
Oh, man. Go back and watch it again. Yeah.
Because I was a teenager then. Maybe I'll appreciate it more now.
Well, in any case, I wouldn't spend too much time feeling sorry for old FFC, because if he can afford to drop $120 million on a movie, he's doing better than you and me.
Well, very quickly, before we go to break, did anyone see The Wild Robot, which came in at number one at 35 million domestic?
Nope.
No, you know why?
No.
Okay, Mark. Okay.
You want to know why?
No, Mark. No, we don't want to know why.
Because I'm an adult.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You crack yourself up. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And when we come back, as we talk about movie stars and movies and also entertainment industry, Zach Levi has endorsed Donald Trump. It's been interesting, the general response to that. And I have some thoughts on why Zach Levi is going to be received differently than maybe Taylor Swift.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Well, it's Later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Me personally, I take celebrity endorsements with a grain of salt. They don't move me one way or the other. But they're not all created equal. Some are effective, some aren't effective. For me, and this is just me personally, I put more stock in an endorsement if it's a celebrity who actually puts in work on the ground. That you see them doing the work with it, whatever they believe in, consistently. If I only hear about what you believe or who you should vote for once every 4 years, and it's only for the office of president, I put no stock in anything you have to say, because you're more trying to grab on to the celebrity aspect of the moment. It's cool now. It's chic now. It's in style now for celebrities to come out and say, I'm voting for so-and-so. I'm with her. MAGA 2024. If that's all I hear from you, I can't take you seriously. Because the first question I'm going to ask, if I were to meet that celebrity, did you vote in the midterms? Is this the first time you're actually involved in the process? What is your level of involvement? Are you trying to motivate people to vote? Are you trying to get people involved in the process consistently? Or are you just grandstanding and releasing a press release and getting your name out there? That's my standard. Now, for you, it may be completely different. And I always say I don't tell you who to vote for, because I damn sure don't want you to tell me who to vote for, because I don't care and I don't listen to you. But my point is, not all celebrity endorsements are equal. And I tend to take the people more seriously if they've had a consistent level of involvement. If the only time I see you is at a national convention, only time I hear from you is around the presidential election, can't take you seriously, because you're not actually invested. You're not actually involved. You're almost trying to just grab a hold of what people are talking about, and you get yourself in the news cycle. But I found it interesting that actor Zach Levi came out and endorsed former President Trump. And this was after he supported RFK Jr. And he made the statement, "Make it great again." And this is what he said on social media. Quote, "I'm not going to take too much time, but I did just want to give you a little context about why Shazam is sitting here talking to you about these various things. I grew up in a family that was Christian conservative. That was pretty much the lane that we were in. My parents were Kennedy Democrats that then turned into Reagan Republicans, and they taught me to have a healthy level of distrust for the government and a healthy level of distrust for industry that runs amok. And for a long time, I was like, man, I really want to find a politician that represents all the things that I want and I want to see in a presidential candidate. And this year I found Bobby Kennedy. And I thought, man, this guy is it. He's the real deal. And in a perfect world, whatever that would look like, perhaps I would have voted for Bobby. But we don't live in a perfect world. In fact, we live in a very broken one. We live in a country that has been hijacked by a lot of people who want to take this place way off the cliff. And we want to stop that, right? We're here to make sure that we are going to take back this country. We're going to make it great again. We're going to make it healthy again. And so I stand with Bobby, and I stand with Tulsi, and I stand with everyone else who is standing with President Trump. Because I do believe of the two choices we have, and we only have two, Donald Trump, President Trump is the man that can get us there. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Let me just ask the question. Has Zach Levi said anything about anything at any time, about anyone, anywhere, for any reason, about any subject prior to this moment? I can't think of anything. Maybe he did on social media 4 years ago. Maybe he did 8 years ago. I don't know. And I'm consistent, be it Janet Jackson or Zach Levi or Taylor Swift. You can use your celebrity however you want. It doesn't mean that we should be forced to take any of you or all of you seriously. Sorry, am I moved by Taylor Swift? No, I am moved by the fact that because she made the appeal for people to register to vote, hundreds of thousands of people did do that. You can't ignore that. That doesn't mean that her endorsement means more, but it does mean her celebrity has power in a way that Zach Levi does not. I don't know, maybe he'll sell 20 million records next year. I don't know.
Zach Levi? He don't sell any records.
But that's my point. You know,
he can't even sell Shazam.
I know. And I'm trying to separate his movie career, what is done or not done, and what he's trying to do here. I would like to think, I would hope that he is doing this not as a way to just get his name in the news. I would hope that we hear from him 2 years from now during the midterms. I'm being serious. I would hope that this would be, because voting is not the end, it's the beginning of the process. You don't just vote and go sit down. You don't vote and go away. You're supposed to stay engaged. You hold elected officials accountable. You get involved on your local level, and hopefully he is using his celebrity wherever he is. If he feels so strongly about this country, well, how better to impact your country than right where you are in your own neighborhoods? You know, most people conceive of this country only on the presidential level. And the presidential level, you turn off cable news, you don't feel any of that. You'll feel what the governor does. You'll feel what the mayor does. You'll feel what your city council people will do. They're enacting the ordinances which are directly impacting you on a day-to-day basis. If you're mad about COVID and what happened with schools and restaurants, those are your local officials, not the president. It's not the president. If you want to know the person that's going to have the most impact on your day-to-day life, it's your local officials. We always talk about civics, Tuala. Let's learn some basic civics. And it's nice you want to feel that you're, doing your part by telling people to vote for someone or someone else for president. It doesn't mean a damn thing. And honestly, the president, with the exception of the big ticket items like appointing Supreme Court justices or enacting through the help of legislation, using the bully pulpit to have legislation passed through Congress, leaning on Congress, he gets to sign or she gets to sign legislation at the end. The president doesn't impact your day-to-day life in the way that your local officials do. Now, tell me the truth. Do you think Joe Biden has had more impact on your life as an Angelino, and I'm only speaking to people who actually live in L.A., than Mayor Bass? I don't think so. I think Mayor Bass, what she has done or hasn't done vis-a-vis homelessness and crime, has much more impact than whatever they're talking about with infrastructure, whatever they're talking about what's going on at the border. That's not impacting you on a day-to-day basis, not like these other issues. Now, it's talked up more on cable news, but actual impact, homelessness impacts you every single day. You see it, you feel it, you have to deal with it, be it RVs, the drugs, the homelessness, the danger, the safety issue, if you're on public transit, you feel that every single day. You don't feel what's going on in Washington. You can discuss it. You can talk about it from 30,000 feet up. You can talk about it in an abstract way. You can talk about the Supreme Court and reproductive rights, but you don't feel it on an everyday basis. So Zach Levi, you can take it or you can leave it. But what I'm looking for is not what he says today. It's whether he has anything to say 2 years from now or the next mayoral election. I think he lives in LA area.
You're hoping for too much.
Well, I say it out front. I say it out front because people say, well, if Taylor Swift matters, I didn't say that she mattered. I said that what she did led to action, which is powerful. But who she chose is of no difference to me. Taylor Swift can't tell me nothing about nothing. If I were to choose someone who is legitimately involved, I would look at someone like Eva Longoria, who's been in this on the ground for maybe 2 decades. I would look at someone, and when I say involved, I'm not talking about publicly just making statements. James Woods, actor, very verbally active. I don't know what he does other than tweet. And I say that as a James Woods fan. Like his movies, but outside of complaining, John Voight, I know he makes some videos every now and then, but I don't know what he's doing, how actively involved he is on the ground level. And we don't hear from John Voight, for example, other than presidential elections. If I'm wrong, send it to me. I don't think so.
So you mean like a Sean Penn who's on the ground
doing something,
involved
in these issues. That means far more than someone saying like, I'm this or I'm that. Please vote for so-and-so because the country's going to hell. See you in 4 years.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I started the show tonight talking about the recent passings of so many people who've had, I would say, an outsized impact on our lives. Music and movies, someone like Kris Kristofferson, TV, sports. This week, I would say the past 7 days has been really, really full of bad news. One of those pieces of bad news was the passing of John Ashton, Beverly Hills Cop. He will be best known for and most recently known for, I would say. But it's not all that he did. He was very successful in TV and movies. I think it was it Midnight Run? He was with opposite Robert De Niro.
Yeah. I just read a story before we went on the air about how he auditioned for that and got the role by telling De Niro to F off, basically, in the audition.
It's unfortunate that you don't get some of those great gems until after someone has passed. But this is why. And we have all these debates about whether sequels or reboots are good things. John Ashton is the perfect reason for why certain sequels must be made. And here's what I mean. There was a lot of discussion and people were saying, whoa, we shouldn't do a 4th Beverly Hills Cop movie. No one's asking for that. And people like me were saying, like, let's finish the story. Let's close the story. Let's have one last ride together. That was something that I think a lot of Beverly Hills Cop fans wanted. And it didn't need to be released in theaters. I thought the Axel F. Beverly Hills Cop 4 movie was very funny. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Not everyone agreed with me.
You liked it better than I did, but I am 100% with you when you talk about just wanting to see these familiar faces we grew up with one more time.
One more time. And part of the reason for me why Axel F. worked and the last trilogy of Star Wars did not is because Star Wars movies 7, 8, 9 did not give us one last ride. What I mean by that is there was no scene in which all of the principal characters were together, maybe in the Millennium Falcon, maybe chilling on Tatooine or something, but you never saw Luke and Leia together. He only astrally projected himself. You never saw Lando and Leia together. You never saw Han and Luke together. You know what I mean?
That was such a crime. In fact, we were talking about that this weekend. How could anybody have put together those movies and not thought to do that? It's the only thing people want to see, and they didn't do it.
That was the whole point of, look, if you're going to have a new trilogy and include the old characters, then they have to come together. Otherwise, don't include them at all. Go to another time in history. Jump forward, time leap of 85 years or something when everyone is obviously gone, so you don't have to do that. But getting back to John Ashton, that's what I wanted. That's why I think it was so successful, because they had a literal, and I mean literal, final scene in which John Ashton, Judge Reinhold, Eddie Murphy had one last, I'll say, stakeout, if you will, where they sat together in the car and talked, and it was almost prescient. Listen to this.
How often do you and Maureen make love?
Billy, what the f***?
It's good for the marriage.
Get out. Get out of the car right now. Get out.
Hey! Oh. You two are the worst f***ing surveillance team that ever lived. Ever lived.
Holy shit.
It's only been a week. You're supposed to be resting in the damn hospital.
Yeah, I know, and y'all supposed to be out here watching to make sure I don't get the hell out of here, right? Jane put y'all up to this, didn't she?
We're worried about you.
Well, don't be worried about me. I'm fine. I just had to get from up there for a second, man. Look, up there is nothing but a bunch of old, sick people. Everybody's hacking and coughing and moaning and groaning. You would fit in perfect up here, Taggart.
Hey, leave me out of this, all right?
Hey, look, man, I just want to go get a steak. I'm starving. No, what do you mean no? I just eaten this hospital food for a week and I need some real food.
No way.
What? I'm not trying to start no I just want a steak. Let's go. Come on, man. Look, you know me. You understand me. You know I need this, man.
Don't do it, Billy.
Sarge, we both know I'm gonna do it.
Oh, it. Let's get a porterhouse.
We're
not
talking.
getting any younger,
Not getting any younger, Let's get one last ride. If anything, the whole movie was made by that one scene where all three of them got together, because they weren't together throughout the whole movie. They got together and got to relive some of the best moments of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, the moments on Stakeout. They had one last ride. That is why you have some of these sequels. I'll give you another example. James Earl Jones, who passed recently, one of his final on-screen movies, Coming to America Part 2, also Eddie Murphy. So Eddie understands this. He gets this. And he got the original actors and actresses who were still living, because many of them have passed from the original Coming to America. Got them together for one last ride. And then James Earl Jones passed within 2 years of it. That is one of the best arguments for getting these folks together and doing it right. It doesn't have to be a huge money maker, but a lot of us want to see them together one last time. And I think we're better for it. And if I have to remember John Ashton, I'll remember him for that, not wondering where's he been for the past 20 years? What was he up to? I wonder what it would have been like, because if they waited one more year, that movie doesn't happen. Not in that way, and we don't get that scene. We don't get that moment. He's probably referred to as passed on in the movie, and we're all sad like, oh, gosh, I wish we could have seen what happened to Taggart. Instead, we got to see he turned out to be chief of Beverly Hills PD. That's why you have sequels.
Mark brought up a great film idea the other day, and I don't want to take your idea, Mark, but he says that we have to get a final story of Snake Plissken, because Kurt Russell's still here. He's still acting. He's still doing it. That's a movie you can do, an old Snake Plissken movie. Doesn't have to be escaping from anything. I don't care what he did. He could just be
Escape from the nursing home.
Something. Yeah. I mean, there's a story there, and Kurt Russell still has it.
And I think everyone would like to find out what happens to Snake Plissken.
Oh, absolutely. We just got to get John Carpenter out from in front of the basketball games and the video games and his vape pen or whatever he's doing. I don't think he's in a hurry to make any movies anymore at this point. He's just cashing checks. But I think he's brilliant. And I'd love to see a couple more from him while we still have him. Both him and Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell is such a much better actor than people give him credit for. I just watched last week a 1985 movie called The Mean Season with him as a reporter. Mm-hmm. What a terrific movie and a terrific role from him. I would love to see an old Snake Plissken movie, and you can steal that from me. I didn't expect to be hired to write that screenplay, although turns out I'm available. Before we go to break, can we just give a little bit of last-minute honor to Kris Kristofferson?
Absolutely.
I stayed up last night, and I watched Cisco Pike, the 1972 movie. Terrific crime movie with Gene Hackman as a corrupt cop who makes Kristofferson's character, who's fresh out of prison, sell a whole bunch of weed for him over a weekend. You must watch. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. If you've never seen it, it's well worth a watch.
Look, for someone to be that talented, to be that accomplished as an actor and a musician across many decades, they don't make them like that anymore. And look, last night I watched Blade. Tonight I'm going to watch A Star Is Born, the better version, the original version, the Kris Kristofferson version. No disrespect to the other version, which I shall not mention. But yeah, we lost a lot of talent this week in a short amount of time.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And before we get out of here, just want to let you know, Tawala, I told Tawala this, but I was just bumping around the internet during the break. And it seems that there was, at one time, it never came to fruition, there was a third Escape From movie, which was...
Right, that wound up being the Mars movie.
Yeah, well, I think John Carpenter said it was a good idea, but it was not the Mars movie.
Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah, Ghosts of Mars was not. But there was an Escape From Earth movie, which was planned.
That hurts to find out about these things, doesn't it?
It hurts. Well, actually, look, according to Screen Rant, John Carpenter envisioned Escape from Earth as a space adventure with Snake Plissken in a space capsule.
I can see it.
Take my money.
Take it now.
Look, and Twala and I were saying, like, let it be zombies. You know, the Earth is overrun with... Come on, Tony. What's wrong with zombies? Get on the mic.
I hate the zombie genre altogether.
Twala, did you hear me?
Every bit of it. I despise it.
You don't plan on surviving the Zombie, good sir.
Oh, it's just the writing it's always the same story. It's not the monsters that are bad, it's the people that are worse. It's always that.
Say it again. Say it again.
What?
That you hate zombies.
I hate zombie movies.
Shoot this motherfucker.
But I have the worst taste in movies altogether. Completely.
Agreed. We agree.
Look, Mark is a phenomenal zombie pinman. And I think if anyone's going to create a story that's different, where the people literally have to escape the planet from a contagion or something that's broke up, because after New York falls, all healthcare falls, zombie apocalypse is on.
You can't even use your gold that you've been hoarding.
You cannot use the gold. No gold going with you, but that may be the thing that gets you on the ship. Call it the Excelsior rocket or whatever. And now you got a bunch of young people who are all going to die along the way, and it ends up just being Snake on the shuttle to whatever moon base.
I would watch anything that Snake Plissken was in. I'm also, and you guys have to be too, a huge fan of The Thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, put it this way. I like the original Thing at 1981, was it?
Yeah.
Well, the original was the one in the 50s.
Correct.
That Christian Nyby and Howard Hawks did. But yeah, the Carpenter one with Kurt Russell is fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't care for the prequel.
It was terrible. It doesn't deserve to exist.
No. And when I saw the movie, it's like, oh, this is not a sequel. It's a prequel. It's the lead up to the John Carpenter movie.
I don't think they knew what it was supposed to be, but it was an embarrassment. It cheapened the original, if that's even possible.
Yeah, I never watched it twice. And to this day, I still think about the John Carpenter version, that ending with Keith David.
And he refuses to divulge what's up in that, too. People come at him every which way, and he just couldn't care less if you, the viewer, have satisfaction about what really happened.
Watch this. I'm going to make Mark mad again. I had Keith David in studio, and he wouldn't tell us.
Do you think he knows?
I think he has as good an idea as anyone.
Because I think only Carpenter has the definitive answer.
Well, I think it's fair to say that, but when I watched the movie, I thought that it was Kurt Russell's character who was the Thing.
Okay, are we getting into this?
Yes, we're getting into this.
Because there are theories. If you look at the ending, if you look at the last
sweating
scene,
or whatever.
Well, whose breath you can see.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and you can see the breath of one of the guys, but not the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to tell you who it is. You got to go watch it.
Tony, is The Thing a good movie at least to you?
I've never seen it.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Shoot this mother.
But I will say, talking about sequels, and Kurt Russell, we should get a sequel. Kurt Russell, John Carpenter sequel to Big Trouble in Little China.
Another masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece.
off air.
And, I'm scared of that. I definitely don't want a remake.
But no.
But you still can do it
because the way it ended,
Lopan is still alive.
I know.
Well, Jack Burton has to be alive, right?
And the monster was on the truck at the end. Come on.
Just about everyone from that movie, Kim Cattrall, still alive.
That's right.
But going back to John Ashton, better hurry the hell up.
Better hurry up. Better hurry up.
Yeah, the chief irony of those movies, especially by Carpenter, is that they were flops when they came out. It took audiences years to smarten up and understand how ingenious those things were. Carpenter was so ahead of his time.
Well, that's why they're cult classics and not classics, because we fell in love with them. We've been trying to get James Hong, who played Lopan, on this show. We've been trying. It's just
better hurry.
Oh, no, we were close.
No, I know.
It was just a matter of timing. Like he had something else to do that day. It was the premiere of I can't remember the movie, but it was like, do you guys want him? We were bending over backwards to make it happen, and they wanted it to happen. He wanted it to happen. It just, the timing did not work.
Well, fortunately for him, he's getting tons and tons of the recognition he's always deserved finally now.
And he's going to live to be 145, so it'll be fine.
Well, he's got to be close, right?
I think he's like 95, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and he's in terrific shape because he was in that Everything Everywhere All at Once movie as well.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's what it was.
Yeah, he was in town for that, and we were trying to get him on for that. Yes.
He's 95.
Yeah, we need Lopan here in the studio.
Yeah.
Dude, tell me what day that is, please.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Shame that Steph's going to be sick that night.
Hey.
I'm telling you right now.
Hey, Twala, let's put in another request.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, I'm jealous of you about Keith David, but you're going to be jealous of me when I tell you that a friend of mine had not seen Big Trouble in Little China, and another friend of mine was a manager of one of those big theaters that have the food. And we went after hours when the theater was closed, and she ran that movie, and we had food and drinks all night.
I am pretty jealous. Damn.
But Keith David did voice IDs for us.
Okay, you win. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yes. You damn right.
You can win. I'll let you win.
All right.
Oh, you've got to hear it too, because he even
he did a bunch of them. Yeah. He did a bunch of them.
Wasn't he also in They Live doing that massive fight scene with Rowdy Roddy Piper?
Of course he was.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course.
He was one of the he was one of the bartenders in Roadhouse.
I missed that.
He was the only black person in Roadhouse. How could you miss it?
Well, being half black, I feel like it's I really fumbled the ball on that one, didn't I?
Yes. Go back and watch Roadhouse. He has a few lines early in his career, but yeah, he was in Roadhouse as one of the bartenders.
Well, I'd rather watch the old one than the new one.
That doesn't count.
No.
Time to go. We'll see you tomorrow. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
The CBS News Vice Presidential Debate Simulcast, featuring that guy and the other guy. Live simulcast on KFI tomorrow evening at 6 p.m.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.